What is up, everyone? It is Scott Robertson Wrestling here. On this day, July the 17th, in 2011, we had Money in the Bank from the Allstate Arena. Well, they dubbed it Chicago, Illinois, but it's actually Rosemount, Illinois. This is widely regarded as one of the greatest shows the WWE ever did, but in particular for the main event of CM Punk challenging John Cena for the WWE Championship. We have had the Pipebomb. This would lead to the matchup and a very hot Chicago crowd. 14,815 in attendance, a buy rate of 205,000, which was up from the previous year's inaugural Money in the Bank. The cold open is fantastic. It is basically the pipe bomb and going through the build-up to a matchup that overshadows the namesake of the pay-per-views matches, the Money in the Bank ladder matches. That's how big this matchup was. I wasn't watching wrestling around this time. In fact, I only watched this pay-per-view. I think it was one of the first ones I watched when I got the WWE Network in 2015. It was like, I have to watch this because people kept talking about it. I didn't get back into wrestling sort of full time until WrestleMania 28, so I missed this. But it was one of the first things I watched. And it's saying something. So I gave the cold open a 10 out of 10. The stage, I gave an 8 out of 10. It had unique features, but it was still slowly just like a giant screen. It had the ladders, it had like two sort of like bank transport vans, you know, when like security vans where you transfer the money, those sorts of things. The crowd, I gave a 9 out of 10. The main event in particular made the crowd a lot better, but they actually reacted really well to some of the other matches on this show. And commentary was Michael Cole, heel Michael Cole, Booker T, and Jerry Lawler. I gave them a 5. They were probably one of the weakest things on the show. Certain matches, they were annoying as hell. But thankfully, they didn't do it for the main event. Thankfully, they are actually not bad in the main event. But let's get into it. This is Money in the Bank 2011. 15 years later. So the first matchup was the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match, basically the World Heavyweight title Money in the Bank ladder match, but they called it the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match, where we had Sin Cara, Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater, Sheamus, Kane, Cody Rhodes, Wade Barrett, and Daniel Bryan, which Daniel Bryan would win the Money in the Bank. 24 minutes, 27 seconds was the length of time in this match, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think this is a very, very good Money in the Bank ladder match. The difference with this one in particular to the Raw one, this had more moments where you'd see it in compilations of oh my god moments in WWE. You know, like the YouTube compilations that you see more and more of those moments. I think it had a good balance of people. So you had Sin Cara and Justin Gabriel doing the high-flying stuff, although Sin Cara is taken out pretty early on. He does some high-flying stuff, but he is taken out really early with a moment you see in compilations is Sheamus powerbombing him through the ladder on the outside. But we found out Sin Cara had been suspended for violating the wellness policy. Everyone got a chance to shine, like the heels, like the big men in the match, Barrett, Sheamus, and Kane. They had a little moment at the start, which I thought was really cool. Sheamus getting chokeslammed, that's how he's taken out of the match. Justin Gabriel does the 450, balancing on a ladder, it's balancing on the top rope. Really, really impressive. And yeah, Daniel Bryan winning. Yeah, Cole was a bit overly, because he hates Daniel Bryan from his NXT stuff. But then I thought there would have been a really clever finish as well. Like after Bryan had won, just before it, he has the guillotine on Cody Rhodes. And Wade Barrett kind of was sneaking up behind to unclip. If that had been the finish, I could have maybe rated it a little bit higher, because that would have been a very creative finish for a matchup. My one criticism, I would have knocked off 5 minutes. That's the only thing I would say about this match. It is a brilliant Money in the Bank ladder match. Is it? I would say in terms of rankings, it's pushing like the Champions League places if I'm doing like a league table. Yeah, but really great match. Next up, Divas Championship match. It is Brie Bella versus Kelly Kelly, who is now the champion. Kelly Kelly retains 4 minutes, 54 seconds. I gave this a 2 out of 10 and gets the title of lowest rated match of the night for me. Highlights, it was short. It was a typical match for the Divas in this time period. So I'm trying to think of the era where it was like, from like now or maybe a bit earlier to 2016, the Divas just had 5, not even 10-minute matches. And it showed here, but the crowd didn't care. Doesn't help with the fact that it's just happened after a Money in the Bank ladder match. Basic moves were getting messed up, including a clothesline. Commentary were at their worst because they didn't really seem to care. They were just having banter with each other and it wasn't very good. Nikki's trash talking after the match when they're walking out. She says, "Oh, look how she doesn't even eat." I'm like, whoa, great heel work there. But, yep, lowest rated thing on the show. It doesn't get a rating on Cage Match because it was under 5 minutes. Next up, Battle of the Big Men, Mark Henry versus The Big Show, which Mark Henry would win in 6 minutes. I gave this a 4 out of 10. The typical big man matchup, but positives, they kept it short, 6 minutes, I thought I was fine. But this made Mark Henry look absolutely dominant. This is basically the Hall of Pain has just started, and his first victim is The Big Show. He took him out with capital punishment, but this was just the fact that he hit 2 World's Strongest Slams and a splash, but then it's the post-match stuff where he takes out, does the Vader bomb onto Big Show's leg while he's in a chair, and that's how he kind of took out opponents. So he would do it to Kane and Vladimir Kozlov, I believe, and Khali. But yeah, this is the start of Mark Henry's best run ever in the WWE, the Hall of Pain. And it's a pretty good start, because he looked dominant. Now, it is time for the Raw Money in the Bank ladder match, which basically is the WWE Championship Money in the Bank ladder match. So we had Evan Bourne, Kofi Kingston, Jack Swagger, Alex Riley, R-Truth, The Miz, Rey Mysterio, and Alberto Del Rio, who would win the match in 15 minutes and 54 seconds. I give this a 6.5 out of 10. Problems I had with this match. Action is fine. Like the airborne to the outside from Evan Bourne after they do the high flyers will do dives to the outside. I thought the start was pretty cool where everyone grabs a ladder as they're making their way into the ring and kind of have a fight with the ladders. That was a cool thing. It didn't have like, apart from the airborne to the outside, it didn't have like a wow moment. Like nobody really went off a ladder or like through a ladder. I think they played it too safe for me personally. Apart from Del Rio, there was no one I thought they might have a chance. Like Truth had his title run, Miz had won it the year prior, Ray didn't need it, and I think Kofi maybe, but even then, Bourne was in there just to do some of the high flying spots, and Alex Riley and Jack Swagger, no. So that was my problem was, it's like, how do I make them believe anybody else was going to win this match? Miz's injury, his selling wasn't great. He gets taken out and then comes back but still doesn't win. Like the way he comes back, he's like hobbling and running. It's like, oh, it looks so bad. It just looks so bad. And then the finish is botched a little bit. It would have worked when Del Rio takes off the mask, but Ray kind of falls and then falls back into Del Rio, which I don't think was meant to be the plan. Fair play to Del Rio for correcting himself and managing to get up. But yeah, SmackDown 1 clears this one. In terms of ranking Money in the Banks, it's not a relegation Money in the Bank ladder match. It's not one of the worst, but it's like a safe mid-table matchup. Now, the first of the 2 world title matches is Christian getting another chance at the world title against Randy Orton. However, if Orton is disqualified or counted out, Christian automatically wins the world title. Which happens. Christian wins via disqualification after Orton kicks him in the nuts. 12 minutes and 20 seconds, which was quite short, but I still gave this a 7 out of 10. Another great match between these two. It is still the weakest in their series, because I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think I've rated the others like an 8, 8.5, 9. But it ain't a bad thing, because this was more about the story of Christian just doing anything he could to get Orton disqualified. Like, he does it at the start with the steel chair, and then, to be fair, I would have done what Orton did. Christian spits in Orton's face after a couple of great near falls, and then Orton just goes absolutely mental, puts him in the dick, and then as soon as he's done it, he realizes he's fucked up, to which point we get the post-match attack where he gets the RKO, tries to get the RKO through the announce table, but it doesn't work twice, including the second one where he's like making these like psychotic facial expressions. But yeah, this was more about the story, but they still had a good match. Anyway, it's like the weakest in their series, but it's not a bad thing. And Christian winning the world title was kind of cool. And now time for the match. CM Punk versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. CM Punk would win the match, blow a kiss, and leave, because throughout the night, Vince and John Laurinaitis are involved. They have a promo segment where Josh Matthews is like, have you signed Punk? Vince is like, no. He comes out and that leads to, they were going to do a Chicago screw job, but Cena's like, nope. But leads into a GTS, Punk wins, blows the kiss, and leaves through the crowd. 33 minutes, 44 seconds. It's a 10 out of 10. It is a perfect wrestling match for me. Hot Chicago crowd. The crowd were fantastic. Punk, when he comes out. Jerry Lawler doesn't have many great commentary lines for me. But he has one in particular where Cole has kind of said that it's a very partisan crowd because they're in favor of Punk. Jerry Lawler has this great quote, and it's like, the equivalent of this, if the Chicago Bears were in the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl was in Chicago. I thought that was a great turn of phrase. And then Cena doesn't do his usual stick, he just walks out. Very similar to when he faced RVD at One Night Stand. I thought that was great, but the wrestling was just fantastic. And when I said about the crowd, even the rest holds, when Punk's in like submission holds, crowd are like urging him on to get involved. And it just built and built and built. Another, like Cena busting out new moves, including one very nasty suplex to the outside, which looked gnarly. This didn't feel like 33 minutes. When we got to the end, I was like, wait, was that half an hour? Awesome. Cena was busting out new moves. Like, he picked up Punk on his shoulders and Cole immediately thought he was going for the AA. He kind of does this reverse DDT. Punk nails Cena with a knee that just looked wow. The finish, I think, is great when Vince and Laurinaitis come out and try and screw over Punk. Cena decks him and goes, we're not doing it this way. And it leads to Punk finishing. Vince is so pissed that he tries to bring out Del Rio, but Punk takes him out. It's great near falls when Punk kicks out the AA. And there's one where Punk hits the GTS, but Cena rolls out to the outside. Normally, when a matchup like this I've seen before, I'm maybe jotting down notes like what I do here. I wasn't doing it with this match. I was so engrossed by it. That's why I gave it 10 out of 10, and it was a great way to end this show. Oh, and I also got match of the night. So overall, it is a 7 out of 10 show for me. Yes, it has one of the greatest matches in WWE history. My problem is the Divas match and the Mark Henry matchup, even though they did their jobs, kind of, if you take those two matches out, that's the two I'd probably say don't watch. The rest of the show, absolutely. SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match is great. The Raw one is okay. Orton and Christian's great, and of course, the main event is just phenomenal. But what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comments section down below. Until next time, I'm Scott Robertson Wrestling. Take care.